welcome back to art class. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be working on a still life drawing. We're going to be using a few items. You're going to need a white piece of paper. You're going to need a pencil. If you have a charcoal pencil at home, you may want to try this with charcoal just to give it a better look. But a regular pencil will do the job. You also want to have an eraser. You can use the back of your pencil, but having one of these bigger erasers is kind of handy for this particular project. And you want to have a ribbon, one of these bows here. And it can be pretty much any color. I prefer the silver because it just makes the job a little bit easier for lights and darks. You can have your own, or you can use your iPad and download the image that I took of mine, and you can upload it to your Photos app inside the iPad, and then you can look at it this way. That is kind of handy with having the photo app because you can zoom in, you can make it nice and big, which might make it easier to do the image. What some people have also done in the past is they take a picture of their own ribbon and just blow it up big so that it's easier to see and draw over here on the big piece of paper. So it's really up to you how you want to do that. I do not recommend a ribbon that isn't shiny or reflective. This is definitely has kind of a metallic look. The reason why is it's just going to make it easier to do the highlights and shadows when we get to the shading part of the project. So what we're going to need to do is I am going to use the iPad to do mine, and you can set yours up. It's just kind of handy to have that next to you. The only trick with the iPad is you may want to have it plugged in as you're working on it, just because you're going to want that picture to be up all the time, and that's going to slowly eat at the battery. So you're going to want to do that. You can just have your ribbon right next to you as well. It just depends on what you want to do. I'm going to use this because I know everybody's got an iPad at home, and this would be what you could do. Okay. I like to blow it up as big as I can to fit closer to the size. I want the image that we draw here to be, well, I want it to almost go off the page. If it actually goes off the page, that would be great, to be honest. It would be best to have it big enough to, like, within about a pinky space of the top or bottom. If you could actually make it big enough to go off the sides of the picture, that's totally fine. Even if it only goes slightly off on one side, that's okay. We just don't want to have big gaps all the way around. Okay? So when you're doing this looks like a very complex shape. But to be honest, you can actually break it down into a few basic shapes. Almost all these are trapezoids or triangles. The triangles just have rounded ends. The sides are actually pretty straight. Okay? So what I generally like to do is I'll start in the middle area and might work my way out. That's how I generally would do this. So I'm going to pick one that really clearly is easy to see. That would be this guy right here. And what I'm going to do is then try to draw that over here. Now, since it's kind of centered in the picture here, I know that the center of my paper is here, and I need to be a little bit shifted over. And again, it's a rounded end and then a triangle with a flattened top. So it's actually technically a trapezoid. So like this. I'm going to draw kind of light. This is pretty straight, so I just need to do that. That. Then I have this one. I'm gonna, let's see. Go do this one now. This one is a little bit different. It's still a trapezoid shape, but it bends here, right there. So it starts underneath. Bit, and then it actually goes right underneath this other piece, so I don't get to see too much of it. So what I can do, though, this line is pretty straight, so I can kind of use that as the end point. And then I do the bottom, which is rounded. and it does actually go underneath this one, so they're not going to actually meet up like that. So it's a lot of looking back and forth and just trying to make sure you get your corners. If the corners are actually meeting underneath the section, make sure you draw it that way. There's a little gap here. This piece right there. And I'm going to do this piece. Okay, once you have it completed, the outside drawing completed, just kind of verify, double check your corners. That will make a bit of a difference on how it looks overall. Like here, I just need to make an adjustment so it comes to a little bit more of a point. In some areas, like here, the corners do not meet at all, so you got to make sure that it appears on your drawing as well. So you're just going to be doing some double checking. Don't worry about the sketchiness if you leave it kind of sketchy. We will shore up some of the lines when it comes to the shading. What you don't want to do is you don't want to leave like this where I have lots of extra lines floating around. Those are a bit more of a problem to work with later on. So you just gotta clean it up just a little bit, but it doesn't have to have perfectly flat edges just yet. We will adjust some of that in the shading portion of the project. So what I need you to do is draw out your picture like I did and upload it. Remember, your basic shape, to break it down, is almost all these are trapezoids or basic triangles where the tips get cut off. The sides are generally pretty straight. The bottoms and the tops are the parts that tend to get curved. Some of them are really wide like this one. Some of them are really narrow like this one. The other thing to watch out for is how the corners interact. Like here, they're really close, like they are here, but they're not actually touching. So you just got to make sure that you're watching how the things actually go behind another object, things like that. It takes a little bit of work to do, but you should end up with something kind of like this. Again, You can use a photo. The nice thing about it is, like I said, you can blow it up, makes it a bit easier to transfer a big image onto a big piece of paper versus going from something small like this. But if you want to try your own, you're more than welcome to. So either way, okay? Snap a photo of it, upload it to Google Classroom, and I will see you next week.